This is the Lean Builders Hoots on the Ground podcast with absolutely, positively no bullshito. Join us as we dig into exactly what lean construction is and how we can use these concepts and strategies in the field. This podcast will be different as we journey to job sites and mine the minds of lean builders, all in effort to pass forward building knowledge from those who have put their time in to learn a better way. Because that's just what lean builders do. What's up, y'all? Adam Hoots here, the Lean Builder, Hoots on the Ground podcast with no bullshito. And today we got Mr. Kevin Rice coming to you from cold Phoenix, Arizona. Kevin, tell me a little bit about Arizona and why it's so cold right now. And then more importantly, tell me who you are.
Yeah, well, I don't know why it's so cold, man. It's normally pretty nice, but this cold front is killing it. We showed up here for a boot camp, and we were here a month ago, and everybody was dying in like 100 degrees, and now it's like, what, 50?
Was not prepared for the cold in Phoenix. That's ridiculous. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So I'm Kevin Rice. I'm just a dad, a construction worker, and I like to try to help people run better job sites.
Huh.
That's who I am.
Just a nothing, man. You say that like it's nothing, but deeper than that. Like who is Kevin Rice? Where was he made? How did it all come together?
Yeah, so originally from Utah. And
Go Utes, yeah.
BYU, man. BYU.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like it. Well, was it Steve Young?
Yeah, Steve Young. There you go. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, born and raised there. Moved down here when I was like maybe 19, 20, something like that.
Okay.
So came down into Arizona and spent a good portion of time here. Met my wife here. Had kids here, all that stuff here. So
Here in freezing Phoenix?
In Phoenix, yeah, where I worked in the trades. So it was kind of one of my deals. I worked for GC, so.
Yeah.
So.
I can attest to that after this weekend, because you certainly taught me some things out there when we were making some batter boards and pouring some mud and having a good time.
It was a good time getting my hands back on the tools. I've been behind the computer for a while now, so. Yeah. And it was good to just swing a hammer a little bit. You know what it really reminded me of is respecting those trade workers, man. Like just really honoring what they do.
Yeah.
And, you know, like when we got back, we were like, man, can you imagine doing this every day? And I was like, yes, I can.
Yes, you did. It was that next morning before we went back to work.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, yeah, that's me.
Tell me more about that value in the trade workers.
So I've been on both sides of that coin. So I came up through the trades as just a laborer. In high school, I was a laborer for a flooring company, you know, ripping out carpet tile, worked my way to kind of being a little bit of an installer. Then I was a laborer for a GC, right? I mean, just straight up digging ditches, just like shovel fit my hand perfectly. And
just the right size.
Yeah, exactly. I was the small guy that they would have crawl into the tight little spaces, you know, on the non-OSHA
Get the skinny kid.
Yeah. So anyway, I had a lot of drive and a lot of work ethic, and I kind of worked my way up, you know, and eventually worked my way into being, a foreman and then kind of in charge of some people. And I have to say, I have to confess that I treated the trade workers how I was treated by the supervisors, right?
Yeah.
So yelling, hard hat throwing, tons of phone calls, putting out fire, just really disrespectful. I mean, I can't have another word to say other than that. We would finish our jobs out generally pretty close to on time, but through a lot of firefighting, just through a lot of difficulty. So, and I remember I was sitting in my truck and I was talking to Jason Schroeder, and he was like, yeah, all these jobs are just crash landing. And I was like, crash landing? Like, what does he mean crash landing? So I asked, I was like, what, when you say crash landing, could you break that down for me? What are you actually trying to say there? So I was like, my jobs are on time and on budget, you know? Yeah. And he's like, well, the end of the job rolls around and the schedule compresses and more manpower, get it done. We got people everywhere. We've got, more materials, more everything. Push, 100 phone calls, get it. And I was like this light bulb went on. And I was just like, that's every job I've ever done.
I don't know anything different.
Yeah, that's just how it goes.
It's just construction.
Yeah. And so really diving in with that and being like, hey, there's a different way to do this. There's a different way to approach this, that if we structured the way we run projects on our side, the craft can actually just have steady, constant work that's not overbearing, it's not anybody yelling at them, it's not causing them undue amounts of stress and pressure, it's not causing, all of that waterfall effect of all of the things that happen after that too. Like, we stress out the trade workers. They don't make it home to their families on time. They're stressed out when they get home. And we just did what? A couple of 12-hour days on the tools. How did you feel at the end of that day, right?
I'll tell you how I feel right now.
Yeah. And that's what we're asking those guys to do every day.
Yeah.
And not only that, but then we say, hey, come in on Saturday, come in on Sunday. I need you to work late. I need you. We're already.
That's not right. Yeah.
Yeah, we're right. And so setting up those systems where we can actually allow them to do their craft efficiently, where we clear all the roadblocks for them, we let them get in, do what they're really good at, and then get out and get home to their families. I'm just so passionate about that now. It's really I spend a lot of time thinking about that particular thing, just due to my experience on both sides of that fence. And how can we make that into as big a reality as possible?
I love it. Thank you. Well, so you've been in the ditches, and I know you mentioned yesterday you have a ton of stories. So I want to hear a good story, a funny story, maybe something that happened to you or a team, or something that you just look back and you're like, damn, I learned something, or man, that's hilarious now, but wasn't quite in the moment.
So I got one story. So we were doing a TI job. It was a build out of a shell space where we were doing some underground plumbing and that kind of stuff. And we were doing the concrete pour back. And the truck showed up and the mud was hot. And I was telling you about a few times that had showed up. The concrete had showed up. And anyway, so there were only 3 of us too, and which was fine by the yardage, but it was super technical. There was trenches going all over the place, lots of different, areas that had to be just kind of bedded in. Anyway, and we pretty quickly, we got about maybe 3/4 of the mud down. And I was pretty green at the time. I had no idea really what was going on, to be honest. We got about 3/4 of the mud down, and the foreman is just popping off. He is yelling, he's screaming, he's trying to get that mud to get into the cutout and to be flat enough that they would actually be able to put a floor over it. We did not get that mud down far enough. We had to pay for a grinder to come in and grind
Too
out
much mud in the hole.
Oh, it was so bad. And our boss showed up, and whoo, he was not happy either. And that just goes to how it rolled downhill. I was just the laborer in there. But anyway, yeah, it was a pretty fun time, pretty interesting time. We got a lot of interesting stories like that.
So you're from Utah, but you moved to Phoenix.
Yep.
But now you live back in Utah. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I actually went from Utah to Idaho right out of high school. Lived with my sister for a year or so, then down to Phoenix. Then I actually went and lived in California for about 6 years or so, and then back to Utah. So
part of California?
It's in south of San Francisco by maybe 40 minutes or so, a little close to town Tappan Bay.
Yeah, we've had this conversation.
Yeah, you spent some time in that area.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Beautiful, man. Beautiful area.
Beautifully expensive.
It's very expensive. Yeah, but man, is it gorgeous. We would be driving into town, drive up Highway 1. I mean, just
Beach right
phenomenal. And I would be just yelling at all the traffic. And every now and then I'd sit back and be like, the traffic is here because the drive is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I need to,
People are here for that.
yeah, I need to enjoy
92 San Mateo Bridge, right?
There's some lessons in that too, for sure.
So San Francisco for a while.
Yeah, and then
back.
so yeah, my dad and sisters lived in Utah, so we ended up living in Utah. So liking it there. I walk to my dad's house. So
Is that the best part of Utah? It's just the family, or what do you think is?
family for sure. The kids have where we were at in California. We were very isolated, so the kids. It was a long ways. It was 45 minutes to the grocery store. So even though you think that you're like, I mean, San Jose, San Francisco, like, you know, we were down the coast a little ways in the Santa Cruz Mountains there. So phenomenally beautiful, but a long drive to baseball practice. So, you know,
Anything
like
organized?
yeah. So we would leave right out of school, and we would be gone until like 10 o'clock at night. Just taking kids to here to there to here to there. You know, it was tough. Yeah. So we ended up coming here and like baseball practice. I could throw a rock to baseball practice.
You're walking.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So, and there's a lot for our kids to do. So it's mainly a family move, like getting closer to the family, getting our kids, you know, more involved, easily involved in extracurricular activities, and that kind of stuff. So it's been awesome. It's been a good move. It's cold. It's snowing.
It's crazy.
Snowing there. It's nice to be down there.
Yeah, it's probably
Everybody
tropical.
everybody thinks it's cold here, but I'm like, yeah,
t-shirt.
yeah.
It's I don't know, probably 50, 55 maybe right now. It's chilly.
Yeah,
Definitely for Phoenix.
for sure.
But so growing up a trade worker, right? Two questions. Would you do it again? And let's just start there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you dive in again.
I love it, dude. I
Really?
love construction. I was saying this yesterday, man. Getting on the tools again. Oh, there's just something about that just fills my soul, man.
Yeah.
Something about like you swing that hammer, you're tired, you know, you're physically exhausted, you're mentally like that's the thing. The things we ask our trade partners to do. Like me, I sit at a computer now and do this, right?
Yeah.
And my brain's working. But like we're asking them to work their bodies hard. We're asking them to work their brains hard. And we saw that with all the people at the boot camp, right? We're like, wow, this is like physically taxing and mentally taxing.
Yeah.
And we still didn't get the footings
None of them
exactly
go right.
where we wanted.
There were a couple of close, but
Yeah.
not perfect. Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, like something about being on the tools and like standing back and like looking at that concrete place being like, that's going to be there for the next 100 years. You know, like, and I get like emotional about it. Like looking at a structure that you built, right? Every time you drive by that, it's like, you know, we built that. We built that hospital.
Everybody in the car is like, "Shut up, Dad!"
yeah, no, my kids do that all the time. But like, it's like we enabled the edifice of people for the next 100 years to do what they needed to do in that building, to save people's lives, to teach kids. Like, you know, we do a lot of schoolwork, like to teach kids and develop kids and what they need to be. Like, we made the physical construction of what they needed to happen, and that's just like such a cool thing to me. You know, like, and every time, dude, I'm serious. Like, I drive by and I'm like, I built that, you know, like, or I shouldn't say I built that. That's something that yeah. That's something that I think maybe we all do a little bit. Like, you take a little bit of pride and ownership, but really it's a team. So
Interesting.
I would do it again though. Yeah, on the tools.
100%.
I love the tools. I love working with my hands. I love the outdoors. I love all that kind of stuff.
What does that teach you about life? Being a Catholic.
It taught me to work hard. I'll tell you that. Like, there's something. So I got another story.
All right, bring it.
I was like not the super on the job, but you know, it was a smaller company, so I was just one of the guys that was like, you know, maybe third down or something on this job. And we had to move, I think it was maybe close to 10 yards of rock, like landscape rock, into this school and put it around. And we had like 3 day laborers that we had got. We were like, yeah, you know, like, we just need you guys to move rock from where the dump truck dumped it around the corner and we can spread it out over here. And the day laborers were like, I'm gone, man. I ain't doing it. And my boss showed up.
Crazy.
Yeah,
No,
legit in Phoenix in the summertime, 115 degrees.
Not 55.
So my boss showed up and he's like, "What the heck's going on?" And it was another thing, like yelling, you know, like, "We got to get this rock done. What's happening?" And I can't remember the actual interaction that happened, but I remember I left that interaction going, like, "I'm moving that rock. I am going to move every single pound of that rock." And you know, there's 2 piles tall as me, and I just got after it. And I remember scooping the last shovels of that rock, and like it's stupid, but I was proud. Like I was like, I moved all that rock today. I didn't think like and I use this with my kids a lot too. Where's the pile of rock in your life? What pile of rock do you not want to move? What are you backing away from, right? Like, what are you saying? That's too hard. I can't do that. You know, that's too much. I'm gonna be the day laborer. Walk away. It's too hard. Or are you showing up? You know, are you giving it what you need to get done what needs to get done? So like, you know, working hard, not seeing the task for everything that it is, breaking it down to the shovel and the wheelbarrow pull. That's, you know, a huge thing that I learned.
Hell yeah. That's a hard thing to do. That's a hard task to acquire.
I still have piles of rock in my life that I don't want to move for sure, you know. But it changes your perspective. So,
How do you just take the first action? What is that?
you pick up the shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something mental that happens when you shut off your mind and you just take action. Even if it's a bad act. Like, even if you're like, I don't know what to do. Well, could you just pick one tiny thing and start? And like, once you start the momentum of like, oh, okay, well, I did this, it didn't work, but now I see a better way. Now I see something else I can adjust, you know, and then you start to just build momentum and build momentum. Eventually the pile of rock is gone. You know? Eventually you accomplish the task in front of you. It's the same with the jobs that we work at now, you know. It's like, huge pile of rock. Hey, we have this job that we have all these issues and problems, you know, all these things going on. And it's like, okay, great. Let's pick up the shovel. Like, where are we going to start? Let's one shovel in at a time. Let's look at this. Let's solve this problem. Let's move on, right? So yeah,
Pick up the shovel.
pick up the shovel.
Love
Yeah.
it. What else? Tell me more thing. What message do you want to get out there?
Definitely the respect of the craft workers for sure. One thing recently is that in the last year or so that has really become apparent to me is like stressful schedule is for everyone. I didn't necessarily realize that schedule was the driver of a lot of the problems that we have and stress we have in construction. So, you know, we're doing takt planning with a lot of projects around the United States, Canada now. So, you know, really looking at your schedule and understanding the driving production rates of the activities and aligning those production rates to achieve flow is like the holy grail. And if I could get that message out to as many people as possible, that's the thing that will enable us to respect our craft. Having their work planned in a rhythmic, flowing way where they can just easily work through every geographic required area at a time.
Have everything they need when they need it.
Have all the materials they need when they need it. Yeah, 100%. Like, I thought respecting people was just like me being nice to you in a like interactive way, which it is. Like, of course we have to do that. But so much of it is systemic in how we plan the jobs. And I didn't see that until, like I said, like maybe a year ago or something. And like now it's like, hey, these tools of takt planning and integrating how we control the job with takt planning really is like the way to enable from a foundational level the respect for the trades. Instead of just me smiling at you and being like, hey, You know, John, how are you today? Good to see you. How are your kids? Good. Now get on between you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we do essentially. You know, like, anyway. So
Yeah.
from a systemic level, that really is like probably the message that I would get out there on how to actually respect the trades. So
Yeah, because you're starting to free up time. You mentioned earlier patterns.
yeah.
Why do you feel patterns are so important to humans?
Oh man, I don't know. That's a good question. So I think like on a deeper level, like I think humans look for patterns because we want to predict the future. So like, you know, we take glimpses of little bits of evidence, you know, whatever that may be, and we organize that, or, you know, oftentimes we try to organize that in a way that we can see what could be coming, which is super interesting. I've never thought of like this before, but, you know, on a construction site, it's the same kind of deal. If we set up a regular pattern, what's going to happen, then our trades can predict the future, and you know, that's what brings that stability. So, and stability is really what we're going for.
Yeah.
So, you know, the more stability we have on the job site, the less variation we'll have, the more we'll be able to deal with the variation that does arise, because you're going to have variation no matter what. But the, you know, like,
It's gonna happen.
yeah, if the ground's already moving and everybody gets barely holding it together, and then you get a little bit of variation, nobody has capacity to handle it. But if everybody's stable, everybody knows that, you know, their own capacity, workload, and where they need to be working, what the activities are broken down in a very clear way, and they've done it 10 times before because you've set it up that way back through, you know, the rest of the project, and you have variation, it's like, oh yeah, no problem, we can handle that. So, you know, like seeing where the patterns are is like a huge deal. We do that with the projects that we schedule and help. We put their schedule on a flow analysis only to look for patterns.
Yeah.
That's the big thing that we're looking for, where the patterns work, right?
Sometimes there are patterns,
Yeah.
but oftentimes there are not.
Yeah, a lot of times there.
Or the patterns just don't make sense, right? They're stacked on top of one another. or
Correct.
It's not well. Like,
Which they can't see. They can't see it till you do that flow analysis, and you can actually see, like, oh, hey, we're asking, you know, maybe not, maybe we don't think we're asking this, but we're asking, you know, the same people to be in 3 different areas at the same time, and maybe that's okay. Maybe they're bouncing around for some. Maybe it's a drywall taper who's going from this room to that room to this room and then back again for another coat or something like that. Like that could be the case. But most of the time, these big overlapping CPM, you know, activities that we have, they just stack, and having real conversations about what's the real pattern here. And what's interesting is, like, I've had that conversation with hundreds of trade partners at least, and every time it's a very guarded conversation because we've treated them so poorly. And it takes a while to break down the wall and be like,
trying to help.
how do you want to do it? Like, how, you are the master of your craft. You tell me what makes sense for you. How do you want to flow through this job? Instead of being like, oh, I need extra, I need this, give me more, I need more time, block it out, contractually agree to way over here, like, you know what I mean? Instead of that, it's like, hey, no, I want the pattern. Like, where are your crews going to be today? Where are they going to be tomorrow? What materials do we need staged for? How is that working to flow? Well, what about the electrician? How are you going to interface with the electrician, right? You both need to be in the same space. How would that work well for you, right? And like, just those conversations, breaking down the pattern of work as it flows, looking at the production rates of everything, and aligning those production rates, getting everybody in a symbiotic relationship.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, amen. Instead of just chucking at the wall, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I love it. There's philosophy and strategy there. That's ultimate respect for people and your value in their time, such that they can spend more doing what they want. That's awesome. Tell me about your shirt. How does 6, 4, and 3 equal 2? I think I know the answer, but
yeah, this is your classic double play. Shortstop, to second base to first base for 2 outs.
Yeah, I'm with you.
For sure.
I bet Lean Builder Nation didn't know that, though.
Yeah, maybe not. I'll bet a few people do.
Maybe, hopefully, if they tune in, I'm pretty sure I've worn that shirt before. So you're a baseball fan.
Yeah, big time. We're a baseball family for sure.
Who you got in the World Series?
Astros for sure.
Yeah. Is this because you're trying to avoid the financial collapse that you were telling me about, or what?
Well, so I didn't like the Astros after the World Series debacle.
Yeah.
The garbage can thing. I like the Astros for, you know, I mean, I actually, they're not my favorite team, but, you know, they were one of them. They were a good team.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, man, I don't know. That's a little bit low. I'm all for winning. Like, I'm all for doing what it takes, but, yeah. Anyway.
Stretching it a little bit.
I'm going to make people mad.
Go for it.
The Astros fans.
Yeah.
But my son loves the Astros.
Does he?
Yeah. My oldest son, he plays baseball, and he's a smaller kid,
Okay.
so he really likes Altuve. That's his
Nice.
favorite player.
Yeah, he's like, what, 5'4"?
Yeah, he's tiny, man. But, you know, leading off, well, he's in a bit of a slump. Listen,
Is he?
I think he finally broke out
He's
of
in
it.
the World Series. He must be doing all right.
That's true. He's still leading off, so.
Hmm.
But yeah, he watches him and just takes inspiration from him.
Love it.
Like, you look at these big guys, you know, and it's like, oh, I'll never make it in there. But you look at a little guy like that. So, anyway,
You gotta have heart, man. That's what it takes.
that's it.
Nice. Well, what's any phrases or words that just bug you, like bother you? Things that you hear and you're just like, oh, what the?
I think so. Nothing jumps
Nothing?
out. Yeah,
Huh.
nothing jumps out at me. I'm not a grammar Nazi. I can barely speak English myself, so like, I don't know about
You
that.
math pretty well.
I do. I like math a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, math more than English for sure. If you're ever in a meeting with me and I'm like on Miro typing, it's like super embarrassing. I'll like come clean, like, but I misspelled everything. I mean, bad. Like 3-letter
That's
words.
what they
I'll
made the little
misspell.
squiggly lines
Yeah.
for, right? Just
But
a
now
couple
I have an
clicks.
Apple, and Apple can't figure out how to autocorrect my stuff.
Boy.
Anyway, but yeah, so I'm not a word man.
No.
Wordsmith, but
That's funny.
I can't think of anything construction-wise that bothers me.
Yeah.
Probably the only thing is when people call it cement instead of
Yeah.
concrete. That's a
Yeah.
that's a big thing.
You know, like the cement's what? Just
Cement's the powder inside of the concrete.
a piece of. the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So I hear that occasionally, and you know, I get a little jittery. But,
Yeah.
but
Masonry sometimes.
Oh,
that's
masonry.
Mason.
Yeah.
It's mason.
masonry. Yeah, for sure.
Or you know the other one was footer, footing.
Yeah.
Footer's not a word. It's
Yeah.
footing, man.
Footing,
Like,
right. For sure. Yeah, yeah.
I can just because I got busted.
That's awesome.
What else, man? Anything like how would you mic drop this situation? What would you say going out, dropping the mic, anything to the next generation, anything
Oh,
to the
man.
current generation?
Yeah, to the next generation, man, don't be afraid of the crafts. Don't be afraid to work. If you want a good job that pays well, that you're proud of, with a brotherhood around you, you know, or sisterhood, I should say, getting a lot more female craft workers. You know, like if you want to be a part of a collective team, you know, get into the trades. They work well for me. Like I worked hard and a lot of hot and sweaty days and that kind of stuff. But man, I'll tell you, I wouldn't have gone a different way. So, you know, don't be afraid of that. Go and do it. Like just go get out. Go like your story, you know, like go get on with anybody who will take you. Go get on with a plumber. Go get on with, you know, like any trade that will have you on. Go get on with them. Don't be afraid of the big gruff dudes that are out there, you know, like they're actually softies that'll just take you under their wings.
Yeah, pretty easy to get it on right now, huh?
Yeah, we're hearing that a lot. It's an issue for sure.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you coming on. We're gonna have to get more of you, Kevin Rice, because I love it, man. And I believe the best leaders are those who work in the industry. And I want to hear some more of those stories. I want you to build a little collection. Maybe we can have story time with Kevin. You can tell us some in the trench stories.
Yeah.
But I appreciate having you on. I look forward to getting you here again.
No problem, brother. Appreciate it.